KQNY Radio News is supported by a generous grant from the Feather River Community Fund. More information about their programs and activities is online at featherrivercommunityfund.org. The news is also brought to you by Heat Transfer Systems. They can be reached at 530-283-3665 for all HVAC needs, including conventional, geothermal, ductless systems, and more. We're also supported by Hunt Propane, providing bulk propane deliveries to residences and businesses at 530-283-9062. And Feather Financial, here to help with insurance, tax preparation, and accounting services. They're at 530-283-2341 and online at featherfinancial.com. Sierra Pacific Industries is committed to sustainable forest management and also supports KQNY Radio News. Information about career opportunities with SPI is available at 530-283-2820 and online at spi-ind.com/employment. In partnership with the Plumas Sun, this is KQNY Radio News. And thanks for joining us. The Dixie Fire recovery funding totals nearly $60 million, and Highway 70 through the Feather River Canyon is closed due to a rock slide. Stay tuned for those stories and more on this edition of KQNY Radio News. The Plumas County Board of Supervisors is discussing the development of a policy to guide spending the funds the counties receive for damages from the 2021 Dixie Fire. It's a good time to look back at the work that's been accomplished since the fire and to plan for the future, said Zachary Gately, the county's grant manager. Quote, "It helps to look back to plan for the future," Gately said. "We've accomplished a lot as a county. We should be proud of that," unquote. Gately calculated that the county has received a total of about $29 million in post-Dixie grants for businesses, housing, and infrastructure, and another $30.6 million in settlement funds. These are funds to public entities and nonprofit organizations and do not include individual settlements, he said. Knowing how county officials and business owners have spent that money can be a guide for future investments in Plumas County, he said. As a new Greenville homeowner, Gately shared his excitement for the possibilities. Quote, "We should be looking ahead, not just 10 or 20 years, but 100 years into the future," unquote. The bulk of the $29 million allocated to Plumas County in post-Dixie grant funding is designated for housing and infrastructure development countywide. Of that, about $26 million is for programs focusing on disaster recovery, home rebuilding, fire mitigation for defensible space, and home hardening, all provided by a variety of state and federal agencies. The majority of these funds, $24.4 million, is designated for housing and has not been spent, Gately said. The remaining little over $3 million is designated for business development. The supervisors allocated $1.5 million of that to the Indian Valley Community Services District, which is constructing a public safety building to include a sheriff's substation. It will also house the Indian Valley Fire Department and ambulance service quarters. The remaining $1.5 million consists of grants specific to community programs and local businesses. The largest amount is a $567,000 grant funded by the Federal Community Development Block Grant Program. It's directed at for-profit businesses to offset their cost and promote economic activity after the Dixie Fire. This grant provides up to $22,700 for each qualifying business. For much more on this topic, including a breakdown of how some of the money has been spent and a breakdown of the sources, please see the article by Jane Braxton Little at plumassun.org. At the time of this recording, which is the afternoon of February 8th, State Route 70 remains closed from the Greenville Y to Jarboe Gap due to a slide approximately 6 miles east of Belden, Caltrans reported on February 7th. In addition to rocks on the highway through the Feather River Canyon, the route remains closed due to instability in the slope above the roadway, agency officials said. A Caltrans geotechnical team will be on site to assess the area, determine the next steps for clearing the slide, and making the roadway safe for travel once again. Officials have no estimated time for reopening at this point. For the latest road conditions, you can check the Quick Map, and that's at quickmap.dot.ca.gov, and Quick Map is also available as an app. Information is also available by calling the Caltrans Highway Information Line, and that's 1-800-427-ROAD. And speaking of roadway incidents, we had a little excitement in East Quincy on Thursday, February 6th. A fuel tanker truck with 900 gallons of gasoline in it caught fire about 2:30 in the afternoon. 3 Quincy Fire Department engines responded. The truck was on East Main Street in front of Plumas Charter School and across the highway from the Plumas County Sheriff's Office headquarters. Quincy Fire Department got there pretty quickly, and they helped several sheriff's deputies and the truck's driver, who were using fire extinguishers to put the flames out. The flames were coming from the rear axles of the tanker truck's trailer and were caused by the brakes being locked up. When the fire was all out, firefighters used a thermal imaging camera to determine that there was no heat left in the axles of the truck. CHP Sergeant Shane Black said, quote, "Fortunately, it turned out to be a minor incident. There was a large response out of an abundance of caution," unquote. The highway stayed open in both directions as CHP and Caltrans units directed traffic around the incident. For more on this story, please see the article on plumassun.org. And one final piece of news pertaining to KQNY particularly. In case you hadn't heard, this program, KQNY Radio News, along with our other two news programs, Plumas Fun and the Feather River College Golden Eagle Update, as well as our 3 community affairs programs. Those include Community Matters, Vital Voices, and the Fire Frequency. All 6 of those programs are now available on a single free podcast feed. And that's available wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for KQNY and you'll find it. And you'll see each new edition of each program in your podcast feed as we drop them. This is possible thanks to the efforts of our good friend Emmanuel Lemna, the host of Plumas Fun, who has been a great volunteer and friend of the station for a long time now. That's it for this edition of KQNY Radio News. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again soon. This program is a production of KQNY Community Affairs Programming, and it's powered by the Plumas Sun, a group of Plumas County journalists and organizers committed to providing high-quality, objective coverage of local news. The Plumas Sun and KQNY both depend on community support, so if you haven't already, please consider helping us out by going to KQNY919.org and plumassun.org and making your donation today. Thank you for helping keep local news on the web and on the air.